Hi, it's Cosmic Charles here, and I'm back with a match from my most recent league. Unfortunately, during the downtime, I tried reinstalling my client because I didn't know there was downtime, and I lost all my game data, which meant I lost two games that were two matches that were actually pretty interesting. But it's not too great of a loss because I had already shown Affinity and Demir Terror before, but they were pretty grindy games. Yeah, and but I do get to show my Bogles matchup. First time I've played Bogles with this build of the deck, so yeah, that was pretty. I was pretty excited to see how my Serene Hearts. The first time I got to board those in, so I was pretty excited to see Serene Heart and Tangle in action. Yeah. Okay, I thought I might do a brief deck tech. So as I said earlier, those two games lost were pretty grindy, which is interesting because this is a storm deck, but unlike most storm decks, it uses its storm count to interact via Weather the Storm, because Weather the Storm is interaction. It is a way of it acknowledges that your opponent exists and can interact with you. It's probably the Weather the Storm and Prologue to Phyresis are the only points of interaction that I have in the main deck. Prologue is how we kill our opponent. We use our proliferators in order to get them out. And Weather the Storm is how we stay alive against more aggressive decks. So Weather the Storm requires a decent amount of cantrips in order for you to really take advantage of your storm count. So that's one of the reasons why I added an Abundant Harvest and two Explores, cutting one Chalice, one Tolarian Winds, and one Merchant Scroll. I found Merchant 3 was a little too much. It can clog up your hands sometimes. Yeah, so that's why I made, one of the reasons why I made those changes. So I've actually been really enjoying the changes as well. So I cut Chalice, which was a little bit of a concern because this is my most powerful ritual / ramp card in the deck, but I replaced it with two Explorers. And this Abundant Harvest, all of which can ramp, not necessarily will. Abundant Harvest, for example, while it can get you your depletion lands, it can also get you these basics. And while it can get you more card draw, it can also get you a Chalice or a Prism, or vice versa. So that's why it's only here as a one of, rather than anything more than that. And the reason why I wanted to explore, as I mentioned earlier, is because you need a high cantrip count for Weather the Storm. So with Explore, Contentious Plan, Augury, Manamorphose, Prologue, Merchant Scroll, and Abundant Harvest, you have a fair bit of these low-cost cards that replace themselves. So I'm using cantrips a little loosely here with Merchant Scroll, but it behaves that way. So that's 4, 8, 12, 14, 18, 20 cantrips, 21 cantrips. So that's pretty important for storming off here with weather. So that's been really helping me get higher and higher. Here we are for game one of the match. Let's check it out. Okay, so it's a pretty good hand. Let's see how good Abundant Harvest is here. Our opponent leads on Glaive Cover Scouts, who are against Bogles. I just play a Hickory Woodlot. They play a Spirited Companion. Interesting. I guess it's for card-drawn edicts. Play a Scary, and I pass. They go Cloak, and they get in. I tap, and I go Infect and Proliferate. I grab a Weather the Storm, because I'm feeling like I'm going to need to be gaining life. Now, it's a bit of a problem here that I don't have one of my artifacts, because while these lands are ramping me, I don't know if it's going to be enough to have a big enough Weather the Storm to survive here. Yep, Ethereal Armor, and they get in for 7. I draw an island, and I go Abundant Harvest, naming non-land. Get a Vivisurgent's Insight, which was a Contentious Plan, trying to get a slightly higher storm count here. I can now Thirsting Roots, but again I don't have an artifact, so it's not really helping me too much right here. And I go Weather the Storm. It's possible that I should have just cast 4C there instead of trying to do a Weather, because that wasn't very good. Yeah, there's an Ancestral Mask. And I'm down to 7. finally draw the prism, but it's too late, and I'm unable to get enough mana to storm off. I suppose I could have Tolarian Winced, but I wouldn't be able to gain enough life. All right, and on to game two. Game two. So here I took out a Harvest and 2 Weather because Weather the Storm isn't like all that good as if you just see one of it. So you need really like 2 Weather the Storms in order to survive one of their bigger swings. But it is important for staying alive maybe in the early game. So I left in 2 Weather, and I also took out my Harvest, and I brought in 1 copy of Tangle and both my Serene Hearts. So let's see this opening hand. So it's a little risky, but I'm going to keep it because I have Experimental Augury and Sappers and Scary. So hopefully this Augury can find me another land. Alright, so I play my Scary. And I pass the turn. Our opponent leads on a Gladecover Scout. So let's see if I can hit here. I do, so I take the Hickory Woodlot, and I bottom the plan in the forest. And I play the Woodlot, and I pass. They go Abundant Growth, drawing a card. Do the armor? Yes, they do, and they get in for 3. I have my second copy of Weather the Storm, which is important. I still don't have any artifacts, though. I Augury, and that Sandstone Needle is going to help me to continue to ramp and get more mana, but I would like to see an artifact to really help me go off here. They play a land, and they go Ancestral Mask, and they get in for 8. So here I'm probably going to try and storm off as much as I can. I really need an artifact. I go Manamorphose, adding green-blue. Augury, good pickup. And there's a Tangle, so that's really important. I take that over the Pentad Prism because I feel like that's going to buy me more time. I forget to proliferate my Needle, but it's okay because I have this contentious plan. Alright. And I pass the turn. Our opponent goes Armadillo Cloak. And I Fog. And now this doesn't untap, so this allows me, and this is really showcasing the value of Tangle over Moment's Peace. I can completely tap out here. And I go Vivisurgeon's Insight. Drawing Everflowing Chalice and a Manamorphose. That's good. The artifact's going to be very helpful. And so will that Hickory Woodlot. I might hold it here for good, I play it. Yeah, it wouldn't be right to hold it for Tolarian Winds there. And I pass the turn, feeling pretty safe here. And they go Armor, and they go Slippery Bogle. I lead on a Manamorphose, adding double blue. Another Manamorphose, probably going to add blue-green here, I had to guess, from the double red. No, yeah, green-blue. Now I can... Well, I was considering casting Vivisurgeon's Insight, and I do. Proliferate, drawing 3. The Pentad Prism and the Chalice, both great pickups here. Now I can go Chalice, or Pentad Prism rather, into Thirsting Roots, Proliferate. And now I can go Merchant Scroll for Experimental Augury, resolve my second Chalice, which will give me just enough mana to double Weather after all of this. Because that is my game plan here. This Sappers and Scary allowed me to dead this prism and still give me lethal for next turn. I don't quite have lethal this turn, so I'll have to just hope these Weathers are enough to buy me an extra turn. And I go Weather, and I gain a bunch of life. They go another Ancestral Mask, but that's only 45. So it looks like we take game 2. Yeah, just go Thirsting Roots into Prologue here. Alright, and that was game 2. Okay, and game 3. So here I saw that that double weather was actually pretty significant, so I decided maybe taking out two was a bad idea. So I brought a weather back in and I took out a Tolarian Winds. I don't think that was right. I think how I should have boarded here would have been to keep both my Harvest and my Tolarian Winds in the deck and just board out one Weather and two 4C for one Tangle and two Serene Heart. This is my first Bogles matchup, so I didn't board 100% perfectly. But the first time I've played Bogles with this deck, so I didn't board 100% perfectly. Because I think the 4 mana might be a little too slow, and I'd rather try and go for the lower to the ground cantrips / draw spells against them. Alright, let's take a look at this hand. So it has no green or blue mana, but it does have a Serene Heart and a Tangle. And honestly, I might even keep this. Well, it would need a filter for me to otherwise keep this hand, but I do have Metamorphose in my deck, so let's see if we can get there. Okay, they go Slippery Boggle. I play a Sandstone Needle. They go Abundant Growth. And they Ethereal Armor their Bogle, and they get in for 3. Double Metamorphose, good draw for me. So here I'm just going to Tangle them and hope they play out more auras onto their Bogle for the Serene Heart. Wow, that's pretty big. It's an 11-9. First strike trample. So here I just go Metamorphose to filter for green, blue, and Tangle. Yep, there's the Tangle. And again, this is really like if this was a Moment's Peace, I wouldn't be able to tap out here. But I can. So instead I just play a Hickory Woodlot. I don't tap out because I don't want to lose my Sandstone Needle. But still, it allowed me to just curve out here. And now they're going for an Ethereal Armor. And I get to Serene Heart and wipe all the auras. Notably, Rancor does come back, so I'm glad I left a few copies of Weather the Storm in my deck. That Pentan Prism was a pretty good draw. That's going to make all these Proliferators cost 1 effectively. So I resolve the Prism. And I have to Augury here. Because I don't want to lose these lands to prologue them. I take the prologue there over the Metamorphose because I'd rather shuffle Metamorphose back into the deck, because prologue actively helps me win the game by adding poison counters. I Metamorphose again, trying to draw a Weather. I go Augury, finding a Vivisurgeon's Insight. That was a good pickup for next turn. So I'll just pass the turn and leave the green floating. And I play the Needle. Again, it's not quite right to start holding lands back to Tolarian Winds. You really need to be like, okay, I have an excessive amount of mana, now I can hold the lands back. There's my Chalice, so probably Merchant Scroll. Oh no, Vivisurgeon's Insight first to proliferate. That was a very good 3 cards. 2 more Vivisurgeon's Insights and a Contentious Plan. So that's really good. So I'll probably just plan here. Proliferating away. I probably should have used that red mana, but I mean, it doesn't really matter. There we go. Now I can go Pentad Prism. And here's probably Merchant Scroll for another Proliferator. Although I should have probably cast Vivisurgeon's Insight there. That would have been better than what I just did, but it doesn't matter too much. And there's the Weather. And proliferate, 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 proliferate. There we go. Now I can resolve Weather the Storm, so there's very unlikely they'll be able to draw something that can get them out of this before I can poison them out. So I'd lead on Vivisurgeon's Insight. I think I forgot to proliferate my Chalice, but like I said, you're not going to get them all. And there we go. Proliferate, proliferate. And our opponent concedes, seeing the writing on the wall. Alright, well that was the Bogles match. I hope you enjoyed, and have a good one.